Yeah, okay, well, let's just start it over. Go ahead and let's see if this thing is. That's close enough.
We didn't correct it.
Okay, correct it, we made a mistake. Or we didn't correct it, what'd you say?
We didn't correct that.
Okay. All right, give me the problem. X squared
Plus 3x
x squared plus 3x
plus 8.
plus 8 is equal to 0. And move C.
Turn y up.
You're just laying out today, is that it? Today, that's the layout for math class today. X squared plus 3x plus blank is equal to negative 8 plus blank. Half of 3 is 3 halves. 3 halves squared is 9 fourths. And that's going to give you x plus 3 halves quantity squared is equal to negative 32 fourths plus 9 fourths. And that's going to give you x plus 3 halves quantity squared is equal to negative 32 plus 9 is what? 23. Negative 23 fourths. So at this point, our vertex is negative 3 halves and 23 fourths. And you can change that to decimals as you plot them. Go ahead and solve. So x plus 3 halves is equal to square root of negative 23 over 2. And that's going to be square root of 23i. X plus 3 halves is equal to the square root of 23 of the I in front over 2. And that I tells us what? Know what? X-intercepts. So x-intercepts are equal to I times the square root of 23 minus 3 over 2. Now the reason for putting this is just so the teacher knows that you know how to work with a negative square root. The outcome is the same. The outcome is know what? X-intercept. So you know you have a floating parabola. So, graph that. Y-intercept is 8. The the vertex is negative 1.5 and positive what? 5 3/4. And A is positive, so that means it's opening which way? Up. And of course you can do your domain and range. Domain is what? All real numbers. Range is 23 fourths to infinity. Decreasing is negative infinity to negative 3 halves. Increasing is negative 3 halves to positive infinity. Line of symmetry is x is equal to negative 3 halves. So on a scale from 1 to 10, with 2 being the first couple of problems we did, this is probably a 4 because you have to deal with the fraction. Do not do a decimal, because a decimal makes you rely on what? Calculator. All this is pretty much basic math as far as the mathematics go. All right, let's step it up a notch. Instead of working with just a fraction, I'm going to put something in front of the x. Go ahead and move C. But after you move C, you've got to get A. You've got to get A equal to 1. Because you can't do complete the square until A is equal to 1. You need to write that down. You need to highlight that. You cannot do completing the square unless A is equal to what? 1. Write that down and highlight it, because that is going to be your problem on this type problem. You're going to forget that. Two x squared plus 4x plus blank is equal to 7 plus blank. And we need to put down A has to be equal to 1 for us to use completing the square. So my question to you is, can you do completing the square with A equal to 2? And you say, no. So therefore, you can't do completing the square until you get rid of the 2. And you need to remember that, because y'all, students, y'all try to do complete the square at this step. So that's why I told each of you to write that out to the side and remember it. You cannot do completing the square right now. So you have to do something else. So what do you do to get 2 equal to 1? Factor out a 2. In this problem, you're going to factor out a 2. Multiply right side blank by 2. Whatever you factor out, you have to multiply the right side blank by 2. Don't ask why, because it's more confusing than it is to remember. The basic reason is, if you do completing the square and not use zero factor, in other words, if you put everything on the left-hand side and set it equal to 0, and you do completing the square all on the left-hand side, you end up multiplying this blank by 2. Because all of this is over here. Look at the first couple of pages of your book, and you'll see that they do complete the square completely on the left-hand side. I do not teach that because it's confusing to students. This is the less complicated way for students to learn completing the square. So, you have to remember to do this. So these are the 2 rules that you have to remember when this is not 1. And if you don't remember these 2 rules, you're going to botch it up. It's going to just, might as well just go ahead and skip to the next problem. So I'm going to factor out a 2. And I get x squared plus 2x plus blank is equal to 7 plus 2 times blank. And I'm going to highlight this rule right here. highlight this 2. I'm gonna highlight this 2 right here. And you better do it in your notes because you're gonna forget, especially if you've never seen completing square before. And I'm going to take another highlighter, and I'm going to highlight this, different color, and I'm going to highlight this right there. I think you remember that that 2 is not supposed to be there. You've got to do something with it. Now, can we do completing the square now? Yes, because A is equal to what? 1. How does it give us? Well, ax squared plus bx plus c. That's the quadratic equation right here. This 2 is a multiplying factor, compression or stretching. And it eventually will be A. But right now, A is 1, and we can use completing the square right here. So what's 2 divided by 1? I meant 2 divided by 2. 1, and 1 squared is 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. Put a 1 there and a 1 there. Now clean up both sides. Two times x plus 1 quantity squared is equal to what? 9. Sorry. How did I get what? 7 plus 2?
But I thought you had, so are you adding 2 to the other side?
What's 2 times 1?
2.
7 plus 2.
But I'm asking you, you said multiply the right side blank by 2.
Yeah, that's what I did right here. 2 times 1.
I thought you meant 7 times 2, the right side.
Right side blank. This blank right here. You gotta
And it's
multiply
always
whatever
by-
that number is by 2.
Okay, is it always 2?
No, whatever you factor out. Whatever you factor out. If you factor out a 3 here, you multiply this blank by 3. If you factor out a 1/2 here, you multiply this by 1/2.
Okay.
Whatever you factor out right here, you have to multiply it
Okay.
right here. And the reason that is because all this is usually done on the left-hand side over here, and when you factor it out, you have to put it back in there. That's why. I could go through and show it to you, but happy you would catch it and happy you would go, why is he showing that to us? I was confusing it. So that's why I don't show it. You can look at it, it's in your book. In the first section of, the first section is radicals. What chapter are we in? 3? Be 3.2. And the first page is 3.2. I think we're in like 3.3 or 3.4. But once you can do this, you can do all of this section. All right, so what is our vertex? Our vertex is -1 and negative what? 9. Oh, that's great. I don't understand. I'm supposed to just 2 times x plus 1 quantity squared is equal to 9. 2 times x plus 1, quantity squared, is equal to 9. And our vertex is -1, -9. And now we're going to solve for the x-intercept. Divide through by 2, divide by 2. X plus 1, quantity squared, is equal to 9 over 2. Take the square root of both sides, and we get x plus 1 is equal to 3 over the square root of 2, and that's positive or negative. Bring this over. X is equal to positive or negative 3 over the square root of 2 plus 1, well, or minus 1. What do we need to do with that radical? Rationalize the denominator, yes. So I'm going to change that to x is equal to positive or negative 3 square root of 2 over what? 2 minus 2 over 2. And that's going to give us x is equal to positive or negative 3 square root of 2 minus 2 over 2. Now, that is the exact answer. Remember what I told you. Some teachers, some directions, some tests want the exact answer. Exact means leave it in radical form. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and do it, 2 is equal, square root of 2 is 1.4. So 3 times 1.4 is 5.2. Somebody check my math. So we've got x is equal to, somebody check it, 5.2. And I know there's a couple more decimals, but I'm just doing it in my head. Over 2 over 2, minus 2 over 2. What's 3 times square root of 2? How much? 4.2. Is it 4.2? Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I thought it was, okay, 4.2. I messed up. Y'all forgive me. Makes it easier. What's $4.20 minus $2? And what's $2.20 divided by 2? So there's your one x-intercept. You owe $4.20. You owe $2. What's the outcome in the numerator if you owe $4.20 and you owe $2? Let me rephrase that. You owe $4.20. You owe $2. What's the outcome? You owe $6.20. Come on, people. Let me take care of y'all's bank account. If y'all can't do that in your head. What's $6.20 divided by 2? Negative 310. So negative 3.10 is your other x-intercept. Now, sketch your graph. And what's our, let's go back and find the y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? Negative 7. So our y-intercept is 0, negative 7. So now you've got your point so you can sketch the graph. So, -1, -9, -1, -9, 0, -7, 1.10, and what was the other one? Of course, yours is a little better because you have graph paper or straight edge. Mine sucks. pretty bad. But anyway, you get the point. And you can get your domain range, all that good stuff. All right, let's do another one. And I'm going to let you work on this one by yourself. 3x squared plus 5x plus 7 is equal to 0. All right, get to work. Give you 5 minutes. So 3x squared plus 5x plus blank is equal to -7 plus blank. Factor out of 3, x squared plus 5/3 x plus blank is equal to -7 plus 3 times blank. Question. A lot of people say, well, why don't you factor out of 3 right here? There's nothing here. That would be like factoring 0 by 3. So why would you factor 0 by 3? You get what? 0. So that's why. Alright. So what are we going to do here? Well, you might have to write this out. Because last time I checked, y'all sucked at fractions. Y'all, not meaning y'all just in this class, students in general. And when y'all get to a fraction, y'all don't do it step by step. Y'all try to do it in your head. And that's where y'all screw up. Not y'all in here, but students. So 5/3 divided by 2 over what? 1. And the reason I put that 2 over 1 is we're dividing a fraction by 2. So I have to make this into a fraction because you don't divide by fractions, you multiply by the what? Reciprocal, so I have to flip it, and that becomes 1 what? Half, and then I take that and I square it. So if you need to write this out, do it, because some people try to do it without writing it out, and they're not ready for that yet. And 5 over what? 6? 5, 6 squared is 25, 36, right? I'm going to take this and I'm going to move it over here. If it'll let me. Now it fits. Three times x plus 5, 6 quantity squared is equal to -7 plus 3 times 25 is 75 over 36. And somebody multiply 7 by 36. What do you get?
232.
Whatever you say. 3 times x plus 5, 6 quantity squared is equal to what?
252.
And that's going to give us 3 times x plus 5, 6 quantity squared is equal to, what's negative 252 plus 75? Negative what? 177. So our vertex is negative 5, 6 and positive 177 over 36. What about our x-intercepts? You don't have any, Hubert. That's right, class. Good job. Thanks for the interaction. Why do you not have any x-intercepts? Huh?
The negative.
Because you're going to be taking the square root of a negative. What if that was a -3 out front? Would there be x-intercepts? Yes. So be careful. Don't just generalize and say whenever this is negative, you have x-intercepts. I told you when we talked about it the other day, you've got to be aware of this a right here. If this is a negative number right here, then what do you have to do with that -3 if it was negative? You would divide it by -3 over here, and that would be a positive. So if this is a negative and this is a negative, you will have x-intercepts. So be careful. So we don't have x-intercepts, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, if it'll let me. No. Well, I'll take that out. Let's copy that and take it over to the next page. Well, it's not really moving. I'll have to move it over the rest. There. Okay. Miss Miss Holly, that sits right there usually, she stayed yesterday and did homework problems with me for about an hour after class because nobody's in here. And she said, let me do it on the board. And she did it, and she got frustrated with the pen and the arrow, and said, welcome to my world. So, but it's nice to have this because you don't have to clean the whiteboard. You don't have to clean it. You just X out of it. I ought to save these things because that way I wouldn't have to write them over and over. But I just do everything out of my head. That way I don't read a script. Y'all ever have a teacher that reads a script? That brings a good old notebook in. And I don't do
Oh,
that.
no, I have teachers that just read PowerPoint.
Yeah,
And I have a copy of it, like I can read.
yeah, that's not me. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this so we can put it in terms of I. Divide by 3. Divide by 3 over what? 1. Because we're dividing fractions, so I flip it, so that'd be 1/3. That goes out, you get x plus 5/6 quantity squared is equal to negative 177 over, what's 36 times 3? 108? I'm asking y'all. And take the square root of both sides. And that's going to be x plus 5/6 is equal to the square root, or I, times the square root of 177 over 108. Usually, most of the time, you'll get a perfect square over here, so one of the two or both. But this time, since I made the question up, it's turned out to be messed up, so we'll just have to work with it. So you can go ahead and take the square root of 108 and get a decimal if you want to, but I'm going to rationalize, and that's going to be a big number up top, but it's going to be 108 on the bottom. So it's going to be x is equal to the square root, or I, times the square root of 177 times the square root of 108 over 108 minus 5/6. Man, that's about all I'm going to take it up there. You won't have one like that on the test because they usually work out to where the denominator at least is that perfect square like 100. And then this comes out to be nice and simple. So that's as far as you need to go here. This is what happens when you make up a problem. So you sketch it. You don't have x-intercept, so that means it's floating. What was the y-intercept? Somebody tell me right quick. Negative, be positive 7, 0, 7. And the vertex is negative 5/6, which is 1 1/6 right there. And then somebody, what's that decimal? 4.9 would be 5. And which way is it opening? It's opening upward, and it's also compressed. So it's going to be skinny like that. So on this one, this is probably about a 6 or a 7, mainly because of the yucky numbers that we got.
Now, would the exact answer really always have I? You're writing down.
If you get a negative, yes, you always have to have I, because some teachers will mark off because you don't put it in terms of I. And really, in my opinion, you don't need to have it because you're trying to find the x-intercept. That's the whole point for factoring. It's the whole point for the quadratic formula, and it's the whole point for complete the square, is to find your x-intercepts. They call it the real solution or the non-real solution. But what you're doing is you're finding where the graph crosses the x-axis. All right, ready to step it up to number 8 and 9? Here we go. Negative 2x squared plus 8x plus 7 is equal to 0. Now on one hand, this is easier, but on the other hand, you have to remember to do something. I think I'm gonna have to go to Bojangles or something when I leave here. I gotta have something to eat. I didn't make breakfast this morning. Rough night. Hmm?
I understand that one.
I know, down in LA. So I'll give it a month and it'll be robbed.
That's awful.
It's the truth. That's what happened to Waffle House. As soon as it was open, they robbed it. LA is LA. They don't call it LA for these petunias. I mean, if you want to feel better about yourself, go down to LA Walmart on a Friday or Saturday night at about 10 or 11 o'clock. Don't ever go down there at Friday or Saturday night, because you got the crackheads, the meth heads, and then you got just people that'll depress the crap out of you.
Or if you're like me, you just have people that stare at you when you walk, and you're like,
Oh, well, there was one person down there. She was, her name, she had a car, and it was like a Regal, and it was all jacked up on this 4x4 looking Buick Regal. And it had Miss Queen written across the top of the windshield. And I swear this woman got out of the car, and she didn't have enough material to cover her behind up. And she had high heels about this tall, and
telling you,
My
please
sister
come
worked
out at
down
night.
there next to that
she needs to get out from down there. It's depressing. That's why I go to Target. Target don't have a bunch of kids running around in their diapers, and you know, people have all their teeth that usually go to the Target, and you know. Now I go to Hartwell Walmart. It's normal.
Do you live close that way?
8 miles. I live 8 miles from Anderson and 8 miles from. Now, when I say 8 miles from Anderson, I'm talking 8 miles from the courthouse. I live 8 miles from the city of Anderson, and I live 8 miles from the Hartwell Dam. So, I can go to the LA Walmart and get there in half the time and be depressed, or I can go down to the Hartwell Walmart, take 30 minutes to get down there and back, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get down there and not be depressed. So, which one would you do?
I would do that. I stopped going to Walmart late at night by myself.
Well, somebody told me the Liberty Highway just gotten bad.
Just about.
And I did go up there, and there was this guy running around saying, I want Coke, I want a Coke. And he was drunk as a skunk and had not a tooth in his head. It must have been come down from the mountain day or something. I don't know what it was. Whew. And I usually don't make fun of people, but when people hang a sign around their neck and say, please make fun of me, you know, I don't make fun of them. All right, so negative 2x squared plus 8x plus blank is equal to negative 7 plus blank. Factor out a negative 2. Why do I want to factor out a negative 2? Because a needs to be what? Positive 1. X squared minus 4x plus blank is equal to negative 7 plus negative 2 times blank. So in some cases this is easy because you got nice numbers and divide by 2. But if you don't factor out this negative 2 and you only factor out a positive 2, then you might as well just hang it up and stop and go to the next problem because you're not going to get it right. So half of 4 is, 2 squared is, negative 2, shortcut number 2 because it's a what? Minus sign. So that's x minus 2, quantity squared, equals negative 7. What's negative 2 times 4? So negative 2, x minus 2 quantity squared is equal to negative what? Do we have x-intercepts? Yes, we do. Go ahead and finish it. Because some of you might have been meditating. Meditating because you got stuck. let's take this guy over to the next page. Since the screen will let me do it on this one. Conspiracy. And our vertex is positive 2 and what? 15. There's our vertex. What was our y-intercept? So I'll write it down. Y-intercept 0, positive 7. And let's find our x-intercepts. Divide by negative 2. Divide by negative 2. X minus 2 quantity squared is equal to negative 15 halves. Take the square root. X minus 2 is equal to the square root of 15 times the square root of 2 over 2. I went ahead and rationalized the denominator. And add 2. And the square root of 15 times the square root of 2 is the square root of 30. So let's concentrate on the square root of 30. Well, the square root of 25 is 5. The square root of 36 is what? 6. What's in the middle? 5.5. And in the middle of these two guys, 9. Half of 9 is what? Or 11. Which one is it? 11. I'm sorry. 11, right? 25 to 36. Ain't that 11? Half of that, 5.5. So that'd be square root of 30.5. Oh my gosh, we just need 30. So I'd say it's 5.4. What is it? It's a miracle. X is equal to positive or negative 5.4 over 2 plus 2. And if you wanted to write it in exact notation, that would be the square root of 30 plus 4 over 2. That would be your exact, because you have to get the common denominator here. And that would be 2, and that would be 4. And then you just take 30 plus 4 and put it all over 2. So that's your exact answer. But since it has x-intercepts, I want to take it down to decimal because so I can graph it. So what's $5.40 divided by 2? $2 and what? Do y'all not know how to count money? Or y'all just don't want to talk? Which one is it? $5.40 divided by 2 is what? $2.70. $2.70 plus $2 is what? $4.70. 4.70. That's one x-intercept. Negative 270 plus 2. You have $2.70 that you have to pay. You got $2, so what do you still owe? 70 cents. So negative 0.7 and 0. There's your x-intercepts. So let's see what happens. Oops. And 215, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And our 0, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 4.7, 1, 2, 3, 4, well that's way out. 4.7. This needs to be like this, but anyway. And negative 0.7. Okay, we got something wrong. I think I got my vertex. Check my vertex. I think the vertex should be on this side. check it. I've got something wrong, and I'm glad it did this, because what tells you if you've got something wrong? The graph. Either I plotted something wrong, or I've got one of these wrong. Which one is it?
Not the same vertex, I shot in my x-intercept.
Okay, then I must have done something wrong on the x-intercept. Let me go back to the problem.
Would it be reverse X? Reverse X would be negative 15.
That's it. No.
Negative 15 over negative 2.
No, the vertex is right here. Be negative, be positive, and a positive. Those are the two right there. So I didn't do that wrong. I must have done something wrong with the x-intercept. Somebody take the square root of 30 and divide it by 2. What do you get? How much? 2.7 plus 2 is 4.7. And negative 2.7 plus 2 is 0.7. All right, well, we'll check it.
Put down 5.47. Place the square root of
No. The square root of 30 is 5.4. And 5.4 divided by 2 is 2.7. 2.7 plus 2 is 4.7. What did you get for your x-intercept, Ms. Love?
Well, I didn't go to 30, someone's already worked it. I got, see, I
I just-
added the 2 to 5.4 and then divided.
Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. No, you need to divide. Let me look. I must have done something wrong, and I need to either redo the problem or we need to check it. So I'm going to check it on the graph. Somebody give me the problem. What is it? Y is equal to what? Negative 2x squared
plus 8x
plus 8x
plus 7.
plus 7. Yeah, I got the vertex on the wrong side. That's what I thought. So let me go back. And that's what the calculator's for, people. So let me go back and see that vertex is not right.
Wouldn't that become positive? Because a negative over a negative makes it positive.
No. Right here.
Can you go back to the graph?
Hold on a minute. Hold on. Right here is your vertex form. Right there. You take the opposite of this and the opposite of this. So I have something wrong with the vertex. The vertex is supposed to be positive. Oh, I plotted it wrong.
Yeah.
Thank you. I plotted it wrong. On the, oh gosh, I asked y'all if I plotted something wrong. Y'all didn't. Y'all just said, bump you, I ain't gonna talk to you. So, it's y'all's fault. Right there. My vertex, I got it on the wrong side. How did I do that? There's not even a negative on the 2. How did I do that? Oh, Lord. Miss Black, it's your fault. 2:15. There we go. Put it on the wrong dang side. And y'all didn't say a word. Y'all just said, we're going to leave you out hanging, Hubert. And which way is it going? It's opening which way? Down. All real numbers, negative infinity to positive 15. increasing from negative infinity to 2, decreasing from 2 to positive infinity. Line of symmetry is x is equal to 2. And that's about an 8. So y'all ready for 9 or 10? Yes, no, maybe? No. Well, at least you're honest. Negative 1/2 x squared plus 3/4 x minus 2 is equal to 0. And we'll do a couple of these. And what's everybody going to do when they see this one?
Quit.
Good job. When in doubt, quit. All right, I'll start you off. I'll move C for you. Negative 1/2 x squared plus 3/4 x plus blank is equal to 2. There you go. That'll help you out. What are you doing?
Trying to figure out how to
No, you're not.
Currently Snapchatting, do you want to get in it?
No.
Or not? Because I can totally.
I'm not Snapchatting. I am now. Okay. You'll have to explain to me about Snapchatting. I actually loaded it up and I'm like, what's the point? I don't understand it. I mean, to me, it's easier just to text. Y'all have to tell me why.
It's a reason to look pretty. And
Oh, that is, okay. Well, I don't have to worry about that. All right. So what do we do here? Factor out a negative what? And then you what? Quit. Right? X squared minus what? Well, I'm just gonna write it out. 3/4 divided by what? 1/2. It'll be a negative, well, positive, and then that's the negative right there. So I'm just gonna write it out. Plus blank is equal to 2 plus negative 1/2 times blank. All right, so that's going to be negative 1/2 times x squared, and this is going to be positive 3/4 multiplied by what? 2/1 plus blank is equal to 2 plus negative 1/2 times 1. Now I'm writing out the steps here because I know what students do. They will go to this and they will try to work this right here. They'll try to factor this out and they'll box this up every time because they're trying to go from here to down here in one step. And, you know, what happens to a baby when you stand them up and they do not know how to walk? What do? They fall down. So you're trying to make the baby walk when they're not what? Ready to walk. And some of y'all, not just y'all, but students, period, y'all try to skip steps before y'all are what? Ready. And that's why half the time y'all mess up these problems, because you're trying to do everything within the 2 blue lines of your notebook paper. And it's usually guys that do it. Girls don't do it as much, but the guys, you try to tell a guy to read the directions, it ain't gonna work, is it? Guys don't need directions, they know how to get there, they don't need directions. X squared, no comment at all from the girls? Not a single comment.
Right. They never listen to anyone.
They know it's not true. Is that what you said? You said, oh, okay. That's why when you have kids and you're putting together SC and the wife is downstairs and you're putting together SC and the next morning the wife gets up or the girlfriend gets up and y'all go downstairs and it's SC and Johnny takes off outside on that bicycle and the girlfriend or the wife goes, what are all these that were left in the box? And what does the guy say? Those are spare parts in case you lose any. Meanwhile, Johnny's in the ditch. Bicycle, where the front wheel fell off, and he's in the ditch with his legs sticking up because bicycle fell apart because you didn't put all the parts on it because you didn't read the what? Directions. I didn't even see the picture.
But they do come with spare parts.
No, they do not. No, they do not.
That's what Siri is for.
Yeah. All right. What is 6/4? 3 halves, Hubert. Thank you, class. Appreciate the interaction. Plus blank is equal to 2 plus negative 1/2 times blank. Now, what have you noticed about doing this problem? 2 things that you notice. What are the 2 things that you notice about this problem? Anything, just throw it out there. What do you notice about it? A lot of fractions, but what if I showed you? Every single what?
Every single denominator.
Well, no, every single step. I showed you every single step. And if you suck at fractions, that's what you need to have on your paper. Because you are the baby that's not ready to walk yet. What else do you notice? We still haven't filled in the blank. Why? Because we are just now getting the problem where we what? Can. This is what y'all do. Y'all get in here and y'all say, okay, we're completing the square right here. We haven't even started completing the square. Y'all think just because we're dividing by 1/2 that and I'm talking about students, college algebra students in general. Y'all think this is complete the square and y'all try to add something here and here and we haven't even gotten to that point yet. So be aware of what you're doing, all right? Be aware that we just now have the problem to where we can complete the what? Square. So go ahead and do that. And I'll take it to the next. Go ahead and finish it.
Question.
No, I'm not. I'm off the clock right now. What?
You get through that. I got that right here. But why would you do it right here?
3 halves divided by, where is 3 halves divided by, I'm sorry, what was the original fraction? 3/4? 3/4 divided by 1/2. What happens to 4 and 2? 4 plus 3 times 2. Over 4, and what does that reduce to?
But why do you have it in that?
That's where it goes. So I've simplified it. You're doing exactly what I just said. You're doing exactly what I just said. You're thinking, so you have a square right here. Why do you have that square right there?
So you don't want to square it for that.
So you're thinking the square or not. We haven't even done that yet. Let's go back here. All right. What am I doing right here?
Taking the first number out.
I'm factoring out a what? A negative 1/2. What do you do when you factor?
You take it out of everything.
What's this law called? No, that's called the what? Distributive law. What do you do? What operation do you use when you do the distributive law? What? Multiplication. What can I do with this one? I factor out a what? What do I do when I factor? What do you do when you factor? No. There's only 4 operations. You already used one. Multiplication. That leaves subtraction, addition, and division. Division. All right, let's go back. When I factor out a negative 1/2, what am I doing? I'm dividing this by negative 1/2, and I'm doing what? And when you divide this by negative 1/2, you get 3/2. Now, I'm going to divide 3/2 by what? And now you're going to complete the square. Because A is equal to what? 1. And that is the biggest mistake that students make on this type of problem. They think they've completed the square before they actually are ready to complete the square. And the good thing about these problems is you can make them up all day and check them on the what? On the graphic calculator. You can make them up all day long. So 3/2 divided by 2 is 3/2 multiplied by what? And that's equal to 3/4, and 3/4 quantity squared is 9/16. Don't worry, we're going to work several of these. Because you need to be able to do it. Alright, now that you've got that step, you should be able to finish it. Unless you've already quit on me and meditate on my salama. What time's this class over? 11 even? Okay. We got 5 minutes. So negative 1/2 times what? That's not rhetorical.
X squared plus 3 over 2.
Well, we got, what is that? Shortcut number what? Which is x what? 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 2 minus, what's 1/2 times 9/16? Negative 1/2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to 64 over 32 minus 9 over 32. Negative 1/2 times x minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to, I have no idea, 55 over 32? And your vertex is 3/4 and negative 55 over 32. What was our y-intercept? Y-intercept 0, -2. And let's go ahead and know what? Know x-intercepts. X minus 3/4 quantity squared is equal to negative negative 55 over 16. Y'all check me. And that says no x-intercepts. Let me tell you, for your practice, all I want you to do is do no x-intercepts and then check it on the graphic calculator with your sketch. We can worry about having the radical in the answer. We can worry about that in class, okay? I don't want you to spend a lot of time working on homework worried about the radical and the I. We'll do that in class. You just worry about getting these three things right here and then sketching it, and then take your graphing calculator, put it in, and check it and see if it's the same. Okay? And we'll worry about the radicals when we do the problems in class. And you can work on them at your own pace. I just want to make sure my priority for you is to be able to sketch a quadratic with these three things right here. And if you get x-intercepts here, then use them. If you don't, just put no x-intercepts. And we'll worry about the radicals in class. Deal?